Deep breaths, deep breaths.
Mhm.
We back. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday sip and chat. Happy Friday relationship flow. We took a couple weeks off. We might take a couple more weeks off. But we just popping in right now to have our conversation for the evening and just to kind of check in so y'all don't miss us too much. Doc, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. And yeah, I know we gotta check in so y'all don't act like we don't exist. So we
Right.
gotta yeah, we
Gotta
gotta
check
come
the
in every
pulse real
now and
quick.
then. Yes, yes. Come in every now and then, let y'all know we still around.
We still around. We still around. We trying to do a couple things, but we still around. How is that birthday celebration going for you?
It's going well. I had a couple of dinners and next week I'm going away. The following week I'm going away.
Right. See, I told
Yeah.
y'all we might be off a couple more. You heard that, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, yeah, y'all know I celebrate the whole month.
And so do
You
I.
know,
So we just
yes,
August and December, they could just expect us to take a break.
exactly. Yes, I got to celebrate me. If I don't, who will?
Mhm. And we have to show evidence that we do what we talk about here around relationship flow. So it only makes sense.
That's right.
It only makes sense. So can you
Jet
give us a
setting.
peek in the room in regards to what kind of things you might be doing, or is that a surprise for us to check your
No,
time?
I'm not surprised that the last week of the month, the last weekend of the month, I'll be in Vegas, one of my favorite places.
Mm-hmm.
And next weekend, I'm going to be somewhere in the Caribbean.
Okay. Okay.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Somewhere in the
Somewhere.
Caribbean.
I just saw
Yeah.
somebody talking about St. Croix and how St. Croix is kind of like underrepresented, but like a beautiful opportunity for vacation. And the fact that it is a U.S. Virgin Island, so you don't need as much things to travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I have to think about that.
Never been there, so that might go on the list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I'm trying to I'm trying to hit all the islands to see where I want to retire. Right now, St. Martin is in the lead with
Saint
Barbados in the the close second place.
Barbados welcomes us too.
Yes, yes. That's
Barbados
why the
welcomes.
first time I went, oh my gosh, I enjoyed it so much that I went right back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like,
The
oh
same
man.
here. Wait, did I do Barbados that way? I think I did. I went right back. I went right back. And then I think I went back 3 times. My girlfriend that was also with me on the going right back, she goes there, gets like Airbnbs and just acts like a native and all of that type of stuff. So yeah, Barbados welcomes us very nicely. And their rent for the month is very, very like digestible.
Okay.
Very,
Okay.
very like much more digestible than this rent we pay on this East Coast. Much, much more. And you get the beach. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
And St.
Yeah,
Martin's has always been number one on your list. So I already know.
always.
Yeah, I already know.
Always. Yes, yes, yes. That's the family spot.
Correct. Correct.
Hmm.
And you've been
Yeah.
celebrating with family. So that's also awesome as well.
Yes, it has been. It has been really great. I mean, this the 5-5. Like, gotta do it big.
I have a couple people turning 5-5 in my life. Okay. My brother turns the big 6-0 tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. That's a big
So
one.
yeah, I'm like, okay, big 6-0. He like, you coming closely behind, not too close, not too close, not
Tell him,
too
hush up,
close.
hush up.
Hush up now. Well,
That
our
double nickel.
yeah, double nickels, yes. I hear a lot of people saying, well, because of these double nickels, ain't nobody got time for it, and then they finish the sentence. Or
Right.
you see the sun glowing on these double nickels, you need to recognize. I'll be like, I gotta get ready for acting up totally on some double nickels because the way I see it right now, I'm like, oh yeah, the act up is real.
Yes, yes. And then no time for the nonsense is real.
I mean, that should have been at 40 or
Of
maybe even
course, of
35.
course. But you reassert yourself every so often.
Listen,
You
listen,
let the people know.
let the people know, like, respect my double nickels. Well, you saw I did the little celebration thing for the birthdays because birthdays are important to me to celebrate. So yeah, I was like, oh no, we gotta get her a little hookup. Let me see what
Thank
picture
you.
I
I
can
appreciate
steal.
it. 'Cause
Yo.
birthdays are special to me too.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciated
Yeah,
that.
no problem, no problem. So our discussion flow this evening, and we may be joined. Let me just put the disclaimer: we may be joined by our lovely Big Mike, aka Daryl, later on in this conversation. Who knows? But sometimes summer commitments get a little full. So, but our discussion flow this evening is apologies. Do we believe all of the apologies that we receive, or should we not? Does behavior tell us that we maybe shouldn't always believe some of the apologies that we receive? And we here at Sip and Chat always talk about everything relationships, so the space is safe. And we welcome your feedback and your input in regards to the conversation. So, Doc, what you think as we talk about apologies? Like, what's the first thought that comes to your mind, or what's a case or a family or couple that you're working with that the apologies just, I don't know, it's a roll of the dice.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the sincerity
Mm-hmm.
and how you know whether or not a person is sincere, and how it really varies sometimes. Because
Mm-hmm.
the first, you think about, if someone is sincere in their apologies, they're telling you I'm sorry, and then they follow by what they did, and
Mm-hmm.
then about the remedy, and
Correct.
then the declaration that they will not do it again.
Not
But it doesn't
declaration.
always flow like that.
Right.
So it just made me think about, is a my bad as sincere as I'm so sorry I hurt you, I will
Mm-hmm.
never do that again?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, you know, does it depend on the couple or the
Mm-hmm.
relationship? Or, you know, is it a sincere apology only the first way, where you go through the whole thing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think that some people, the my bad is good enough.
And the my bad don't come with clarifying what's going to be different. I learned from this situation. It's just, oh, my bad, that was the wrong thing to do. You right. Oh, sometimes my bad be like, you right, I wasn't supposed to do that, but they're not taking personal accountability.
Right. Right.
That part.
Right. And I think when you come come from like a therapeutic background, or from a therapeutic stance, we know
Mm-hmm.
that apology is so much more than just
Mm-hmm.
saying my bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we teach people. But are we like getting in the way sometimes,
Mm.
when a my bad was good enough for somebody?
So am I hearing you right? Are you saying that the therapy people get in the way of the intervention of acceptance or of the apology in some sort because we want to quantify or explain the behavior?
Uh-huh. And I'm saying that that may be the interpretation,
Okay.
because before the therapy people got involved, my bad was fine.
It really was. It really was. So why am I keeping this appointment with you? You trying to rearrange everything going on in life? Yes.
Yes, you trying to make my significant other, my mother, my father, or whoever go through this whole thing
Mm-hmm.
for me to believe that they're sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it just came to my mind because I was thinking about someone in particular,
Okay.
or a relationship in particular.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And just therapy in general, when you're teaching people new ways of being and behaving and thinking,
Mm-hmm.
some of those stumbling blocks or walls have to do with them not knowing that my bad's not good enough. My bad means nothing.
Right, right. But
And
no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I joke when I say it means nothing because I know that for some people, saying my bad is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
though it's not the full scale apology
Mm-hmm.
spiel, it's difficult
Mm-hmm.
because in their mind they are admitting that they did something wrong.
Right, right. And you should be able to just take that at face value. But see, the challenge, I think, when the therapy people come involved, because you invited them into the conversation,
Yes.
is that because you invited them, you want a different resolution than what you've experienced before. And so then we began to peel back the layers of the behavior, or how can we correct this or interrupt a pattern, like all these things. And we end up diving into other areas that the my bad covers or don't cover. And that's when it's like, okay, do we still need this third party? Do we still need to resolve this way? Like you was accepting it before. Now is they project into the third person versus like looking in the mirror to say what they could do different.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. But that whole idea of apologizing, it's if you say my bad,
Mm-hmm.
and my bad means I'm never going to do it again, and you show this through your actions,
Mm-hmm.
do you really need to say the whole thing?
Right. But then if you say my bad, I think the essence of an apology is that you're being specific to what it is that you're apologizing about, that
Which
part.
is so interesting, and I know you've probably seen this before when a couple may be in front of you, and one of the partners is apologizing, and the other partner says, "Well, what did you do?" And they don't know.
Right.
They can't articulate
Right.
why they're apologizing. I'm sure you've seen that.
I definitely have. Because they don't really know where the infraction was that created the reason why we had to have this conversation, or not so much that they just think they can get away with it. It's just they don't understand why the conversation is different now, or you have never, no one has ever pulled me to the carpet in this way to have to explain what's the why behind my apology.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the tricky
Yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah, yes.
And it
And I
becomes awkward.
yes, yeah.
Hmm. It becomes really, really awkward.
Do you find that you have to explain, why it's important that you know why you're apologizing?
I do find that I have to explain why it's important. Like, what's the, what makes it important that this apology is, what is going to change? Like, what's going to be the benefit of the apology? Because most people are just like, just accept it and let's move on. But then it's not resolved for everybody involved.
Right.
And that's the reason why we can't move on, because whatever you're apologizing for in the specific terms, you have permission in a sense to do it again,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is wicked.
Yes. 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 So yeah, it is important to know why. What
Right.
you're apologizing for. You
Right.
know, what did you do or didn't do so that you don't, you know, have the same behavior next time that this
Right.
situation occurs.
Right. um I'm I'm finding stuff. I'm sorry. like this of the whole dictionary definition, like it says, an apology is a regretful acknowledgement of an offense or failure.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing, it was like it is an admission of error or discourtesy
Okay.
accompanied by an expression of regret. So is apology and regret like in the same context?
I think so.
But I think
I think so.
in around the way psychology, it could
Yeah.
be two different things though.
Well, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I'm thinking of situations where people are apologetic for how they did something, but not for the act.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, I don't know if that came out right. Like apologizing for saying something that you meant, but the way you said it wasn't appropriate or right for
Mhm.
the person. So you don't regret what you said, but
Mhm.
you're apologizing for how you said it.
And so it the reason I did like that was because it was making me think of a situation where the apology is usually canceled out by the way that you approach the apology, or like the
Mhm.
tone, your body language, your like whatever,
Yes,
all of that
yes.
other stuff, because it's not going to help me forget that you cheated on me. And not only did you cheat on me, you cheated on me raw. So now we got twins that's in the family because you took your little situation out there and was doing some things.
Mhm, mhm. When you say that, it
So,
reminds me of making a kid apologize. Like apologize to your sister for whatever. You're like, I'm sorry.
right. And then you go stumping away. Like, don't be stumping in my house. Don't be stumping in my house.
So those kinds of apologies are kind of hard to take. They're kind of hard to swallow. Like, really, did they really mean they're sorry?
Right.
The way they
No.
said that?
Or is this sorry or apology about to become aggressive, and we're gonna have to like, now the way you coming at me, you offsetting it, so we're gonna really have to just take it there and go in.
Mhm, mhm. I'm sorry, damn.
Right. And how many times you want me to apologize for the same thing? Well, I want you to change your behavior.
Yes, yes.
But apparently your behavior is a habit, and habits are hard to break. You need to go on a 21-day fast.
Mhm. Yes. And you brought up an important thing about cheating because the apology can't be the end when
Never.
you've done something like that.
Right.
It's like I said I'm sorry 10 times. Well, you know what? Say it 10 more.
Mhm.
And do some stuff.
I'm laughing because the do some stuff becomes very, very loaded. The do some stuff could be, well, I wanted another baby. You went and had a baby on me. So, yes, I want you to take care of that baby, but we got to work this out on my side too because I wanted another baby, a forgiveness, apology baby.
Mm.
And then, like, what label does that give the child all of their years? They're the apology baby.
Mhm.
That's a whole, that's a whole mess.
Mhm. what I've been what I've seen with the do some stuff is the person that cheated now feels slighted or upset when the person who was cheated on wants actual proof that this is not going to happen again. That I need you to put uh the location thing on. I need you to call me every so often. I need you to give me access to all your codes
Mhm.
or whatever.
Mhm.
Now the person feels like, oh, I don't want to do
You
all that.
checking on me like you my
Yeah, you checking
parent
up
or you my
on me.
partner.
But I wasn't your partner last night, so you need to do this stuff.
Right. Or the fact that the forgiveness part of the apology, the cheating happened 3 years ago,
Still
and
with them.
you're still with them. You've shown evidence, but dag, as soon as I walk out the house and drive around the corner, you hit me up on FaceTime. I'm only around the corner. What you want me to, you want me to go do it again?
You're just shoving me into another person's
shoving me
arm.
into another person's cooch. Like automatically. And it's like, wow. Like I can't go out with my friends and I'm out at a restaurant where you know it's loud and you tell me I want to FaceTime you. No, I'm not doing that. I'll see you when I get home. And then they get into an argument about that.
Yes.
But then is that a false apology? Because
they won't comply?
Because they won't comply.
That's how some people view it. They'll say, well, you're not really sorry because you don't want to do everything that I need you to do to make me feel secure. But again, if it's 3 years later, like that's a whole different situation than if you just found out.
And 3 years later is a part of the, okay, so this timeline is probably about to look real crazy. But the 3 years later is a part of the 12 years that we dated off and on. We broke up 3 times during that time. And we've been married for 1.5 years and expecting a baby. So what does the 3 year ago behavior have to do with the today's conversation? That part.
Especially when you've let me back into your life and said you forgave me.
Or was it because you knew that you would bully me into giving you a ring, and I don't even know how you got pregnant, but you pregnant. So like, so you know, I'm just saying. This is a real situation too, by the way.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
No names was used.
Yes. But it does show you how apologies and forgiveness go hand in hand.
They really do. They do.
Yes.
They do.
And if you truly don't forgive a person, you should do whatever it is you need to do to I was gonna say keep from fooling them, but that's not. I know. Don't act like you forgive them if you're not ready.
But is it situational forgiveness? Because if I forgive them, just if I don't know how this scenario happened, but if I forgive them, we were really close to him getting me a ring, and I know he's gonna get me the ring that I really like.
So if I forgive him, then he may start slacking.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I heard an interesting thing. Yes, one day this week that I don't want you to. How did that person say that? I want you to forgive me, but I don't want it to feel like it's so easy that you always forgive me. And the partner was like, but you apologized. I'm still here. It's been 7 years. But the person who stepped out is like, I don't want it to seem as if you're always going to be with me, because if that's the case, my apology doesn't have to be real. My apology can be situational, because I know you've been with me through so many other things that all I got to do is do another thing and we'll have some ripples, but we'll get over it because you're always there. He said, I don't want that type. He said, he said, I don't want that type of comfortability, because then that gives me permission to step out.
I was going to say, which means he can't control himself. That's what he's saying, basically. He can't control himself.
Well, yes, Doc. You want to come to the next session? Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what that sounds like.
Yes.
I need you to hold me accountable. No, hold yourself accountable.
As I'm 30-somebody years old.
Yes, hold yourself accountable. Hey, Neil.
Hey, Ruth.
Yes, that's what that sounds like to me. But I do know that sometimes, you know, sometimes people do continue behaviors if they were forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that does happen.
So it's
When you,
like to believe or to not believe.
Mhm. I mean, it's a risk. It's a risk you take,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially if you forgive and don't see any change, but you keep it moving as if things are okay
Right.
because you're telling the person that this is all right.
Right. Right. And it's like you're not really intending to tell them that,
Right.
but it's like they're learning, the loopholes that could possibly make it happen the next time. Especially when preferences, trying to think of how to say this, when preferences that you prefer are not being performed in the main relationship, and you said, okay, well, I'll just take it off the table because then that way, what I've apologized for, it won't be a problem. But that's still your fetish preference.
Right. Right.
And it's just like a bowl of ice cream. You might not want it every day, but you want it periodically.
I know that's right.
So, I mean, yeah, it was interesting though to say that they didn't want the full grace of just knowing that we're going to work it out, because then that gives me permission that, okay, well, yeah, it was rough, but I need my bowl of ice cream. And if they
Mhm.
find out, I know what to do differently
I know
this
what
time.
to do. Yes, I know what to do.
Because now you
Mhm.
give me the cheat sheet.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why apologies just can't be words.
It has to be actions.
There has to be actions behind it.
But then that goes back to what you were saying earlier. Will somebody who don't have the third party of the therapy type people be able to push forth to say what behaviors need to be done different without that level of support or involvement?
I think people have a difficult time with the therapy person
They do.
when you start asking them, so what does this look like for you? Like
Mm-hmm.
what do they have a hard time answering, what do you want
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or need from your partner? People have a hard time. They don't think about a lot of times people don't think about that stuff.
Right.
And then when you put it to them, you know, you got to kind of guide them through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of times they don't know.
Correct.
They don't know what actions I need my partner to take to show me that they're really sorry.
But then they also don't know the actions that got them to this space that an apology was warranted. Like, what did I do? I did what I always do. But yeah, when we have seasons of growing, some things we have to shed apart. And I know that that was an interesting part of the conversation as well, because it was stated that this is what I always do. Okay, so you've always done this for 30 somebody years, but you're maturing to be with your wife. The always before was not with your wife.
Right.
That's a different, or husband. That's a different conversation,
Mhm.
because now you've taken a choice to be one union, and being one union means that those things when you was around the boys and on the corner and stuff like that, shucking and jiving, you got to mature away from those things.
Mhm. Mhm. Which is why those discussions are so important, as we keep saying here on Sip and Chat. Those discussions are so important in the beginning of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If this is something you've always done, when we get married, will you still be doing it?
Mm-hmm.
It's an important question to ask.
But and we say in the beginning, but sometimes the beginning is at the beginning of the new season.
Yes.
So if you've been together for a long time, the beginning can be you guys have a reset every 1 year, every 5 years, in the increments of 5 or increments of 4, whatever number it is that you pick, to just ensure that your goals are on the same journey and path. Because in the early discussions, that's great for somebody just starting out. But if I'm 2 businesses as an entrepreneur in and you still W2 in, are we on the same page? Do we have the same goals and alignment? We don't think the same because we don't work the same. Right. I can give a whole bunch of different examples, but like that's just the one thing I know. W2s and entrepreneurs just have a different mindset and ethics. So yes, is it dinner time? It is dinner time, but I gotta do this report while we sit here.
Say yes, it's a different speed too.
Right.
Because with a W2, you might be able to shut down at the end of the night. And the other way you might not.
Yeah, you got killed to eat. So like, it looked different. You have to create those boundaries, but it also means that if you were in a couple situation and at one point you both were W2s, if we're going to use this example, you both were W2s and one person branched off, that's where you have to have that real conversation in the beginning of making this shift, that the shift is also going to impact how we spend time together. And if I need to go to the office or I'm sitting here in the living room and I need to do whatever, just respect the fact that I need to do that because the income that comes in or the benefit that comes in from that allows us to do X.
Right.
Then you won't have to have no apology in there. The apology comes when you didn't give them the full memo of what life was about to look like by you going into this, leaving a W2 and so forth.
And now vacations look different. A lot of parts of life will look differently in that scenario.
In that scenario, for sure. For sure. Yeah. For sure. And especially if y'all both gradually going into entrepreneur status, is definitely going to look different and you got to prepare. Hopefully in the same alignment, because the old you has to confine or conform or agree to some things that you might not have had to agree to before. So I don't know, those early discussions of any change to avoid having to have a regretful, type apology, later on. It just you just got to shape things. You got to shape things in the appropriate manner.
What if there's someone who constantly apologizing, but they're constantly doing stuff? They're always sorry, but they're
not always sorry. That's the not. We said to believe or to not believe. Like, you got to determine how many times you're going to agree to believe or what you're going to do. Because if it keeps coming up as survey says not, then it's more of not.
I mean, I know you've heard that saying, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. A lot of people work off that.
They do.
Yes.
They do. And I'll be like, oh God, we about to go down a rabbit hole if you got that thought process.
Yes. I'm going to do what I want to do right now, and then I'll just tell you I'm sorry later.
And that's a risk. That's really a risk, or it's really like being dismissive to even take in account and consideration how the other person feels about a decision that you're making.
You're only thinking about yourself.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said you're only thinking about yourself, but really you pretend you're thinking about the other person.
Pretend.
You pretend. Because you know that you're going to have to apologize later. So that's in the back of your mind.
But then you want to project it being all on, they got to get over their childhood issues or they this issues and that issues. But no, you got to get over your issues too of just, you're not single no more. You have other people to account and consider. As a wife, I shouldn't call my husband knowing that he's on the road. I'm concerned that at 11:30 at night, he's like, oh yeah, I stopped with an old college friend and she and her kids What? What?
Did you say
She.
she?
She.
And you didn't say her kids and her husband. You said she and her kids. Like, what?
She
What's
and her
happening?
kids, and it's 11:35, and you where you? Yeah, no, you didn't consider me in that decision right there. Unless you was like, it's better to ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that said on. It's funny. I've heard that said on several things I've been watching over the past few days.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So it just made me think that a lot of people work off of this premise.
Yeah, they do. A lot of people work off a lot of premises, but they don't really understand how they infuse it into their relationships and how it don't always fit. It ain't one size fits all.
Right. Right.
It ain't one size fits all.
Mm-mm-mm. No, 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 it isn't. Mm.
So Ruth,
So,
what examples do you have of an apology that works or doesn't work, to believe or to not believe? If you could share it in the chat, or anybody else who is listening. What was you going to say, Doc?
I was gonna say, um, I was thinking about, and I think we did talk about this before, but I'm just gonna bring it up again.
Sure.
People who are always sorry,
Mm,
like I'm sorry, is like the second thing that comes out their first thing that comes out their mouth, no matter what the situation is.
no matter what. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That just made me think about that, and there, I think, depending on where it's coming from, these people are sincere,
Mm-hmm.
but it's coming from a place of fear a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
or anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they are definitely sincere in their apologies, they don't understand that they don't need to apologize for everything.
Correct.
Mhm.
But they've been conditioned to believe such.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes,
Yeah, that part.
yes, yes. And
That part.
sometimes it comes from how you were raised, especially if you were raised in a way that made you feel like you were not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're always apologizing because you feel like you're messing up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some of it is conditioned, and I know we talked about before, based on, being a person of color,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this idea of you don't have the right to not do or do something.
Right. And that's a
I just made you huff and puff.
cause like when you start talking about the right, like people will be like, why I gotta check in, or why I need to ask permission, or why I need the right. Like, why can't they just accept what it is that I say and we move forward? So my side was coming loaded from like all of those voices, and just kind of flooded my thought process of things that I've come in contact with recently with working with individuals. And yeah, sometimes I think it's a deflection though, that people just don't want to say sorry or don't want to apologize. They just want you to believe them in the moment as the cover story and just go from there. And that's not really it's not it's not real. It's not real. So like how can they repair to accept or understand when it's a good time to accept an apology at face value to grow forward? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you know when an apology is valued and respectful enough that you can say, all right, I'm gonna take this, and we just gonna work through whatever and grow forward.
I would say when the person actually knows what they're apologizing for, and can verbalize that,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a plan of action
Mm.
for you.
Now, who is that organized?
I know. I know. Well,
I
that's
mean,
what I
it
want.
sounded
That's
great.
what
I'm
I want
sorry, I
to
should
know.
let you keep going, but like when you said plan of action, I'm like,
But that's what I want to know. Even if you just say, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of being wronged. Oh, okay. Forgetting my birthday. That's
mm,
gonna be that's a problem. Anyway, so even if you come to me and say, "All right, I'm sorry I forgot your birthday.
mm,
I'm gonna put it on my calendar for next year."
mm.
That's a plan of action.
That is a plan of action. I don't
Yeah.
know that I'm going to accept that though, because we still need to do something now in my month of celebration. And then next year, you're just going to be on time. But right now, we need to figure out in this next 25 days what we going to do.
I hear that. That's right. You
Yes.
still not off the hook
You're
this
not off the
year.
hook for this year. But next year, you're just going to be on time. But you still got 25 official days to work it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm traveling this day and that day. So then that means you really got like 15 days.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So when I say plan of action, it doesn't have to be, this bullet points. I'm gonna do this and this and this and that. No, this is just you tell me how we're gonna be sure that this doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like if you cheated, like, are you gonna be wearing a chastity belt when you go away? Like, what's gonna happen? the
Chastity
one
belt.
that the one that only I have the keys.
Oh no. What if I gotta itch myself?
That's that's your punishment. You will itch to death.
Gonna itch to death. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
But
I can see
yes,
that.
if you can tell me you know, why I was offended or why I
Mm-hmm.
felt hurt
Mm-hmm.
and how you're going to make sure that you don't hurt me again,
Mm-hmm.
I can accept that.
Right. Right. I like that birthday one though.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
With the
So my
additional
bad is not going to work
chocolate.
for me.
Huh? My bad
My
is
bad
not
is not
gonna
going to
work.
work for me.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to work for me.
I, the my bad is not gonna work for me, and saying that somebody is in the way is not gonna work for me either.
What you mean?
Like when we said that the therapy type people is in the way, that's
Yeah.
not gonna work for me either, because that must be a mask to hide something else,
Mhm.
and that the mask is about to be blown because this third party is in there and they like really digging deep. And
Mhm.
so just because they get into that surface where it's good and gritty, yeah, no, we're not walking away from this right now.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, I've heard that in a couple of relationships I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
where they had been seeing someone else and somebody's spot got blown up.
Mm-hmm.
So now they don't need it. They
Allegedly.
don't need therapy. Why we get therapy? Therapy
Right.
don't do nothing.
Right. You did
Well,
something all right.
cause your spot got blown up.
Right. 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 Or, you know, we did therapy, but we weren't being honest with ourselves. So we
Yes.
just went through the whole process because nobody wanted to take the stance of apologizing or forgiving for whatever reason.
Yes. Yes. Seen that as well.
Correct.
Everyone's stuck on, you
Can't
know.
hear you.
I said everyone is stuck on what we did or what I did was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
though they won't say that,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the only interpretation I think that can be made.
Right. 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 That part.
And I think that's the part that people need to think about when they get into this. I'm not apologizing.
And try to draw their line in the
Yeah,
sand.
the line in the sand. What are you telling the other person?
Right. Right. That they don't matter.
Yes.
I don't honor your voice enough to consider what you're saying because, yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
Hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're able to think that way and you really care about the person, I think it would make you change your mind.
A little bit, like a little bit,
Yes. Yes.
at least a lot. Hopefully, a lot of bit, but like we can start with a little bit.
A little bit. Yes.
Right? We can start with a little bit.
Yes.
Um, and but I think I find now too that the word change, if it's changing my perspective or how I feel or how I think about something, especially if it's the person who has violated in the relationship or in the conversation, they don't like, they get triggered by the word change, or why are you trying to change me? Why are you trying to fix me? Why are you trying to? And I'm like, but it's an evolution, it's a growth, it's a like,
Right.
you want me to change the word? Like I could change the word. There could be a whole bunch of words that had the same thing. But maturity is necessary.
Mhm.
Maturity is necessary.
Mhm. And growth has changed people.
Growth is change. And it's not a taboo word to grow or to change or to evolve or to do something different, because what you did around the way or in a younger season or a younger version of you should not be something that you carry throughout your entire life. Like there has to be something about that. But you know what, Doc? What the one person said is that would make me vulnerable.
Ah, yes. The V word.
And I don't want to be that vulnerable because then I feel like I can't control stuff.
Mhm.
The V word.
Yes, yes. Yes. I've done some digging work with people who finally came to that conclusion. Yes, I don't want to be vulnerable because when I'm vulnerable, it means that people can control me.
And I don't have control over the
Yes.
outcome or control over what I say or like control. It's just that control.
Control, yes.
Mm.
You are not Janet Jackson.
And she wasn't Janet Jackson either, apparently. Which the reason she wrote the song and what life was doing, like, so that gives you evidence that it's a difficult thing to just really embrace the V word.
Mhm. Yes.
And
Yes, and understanding that, it's scary
mm-hmm,
to be vulnerable, but it also helps you form closer bonds with the people in your life.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It really does.
But I think that that's a fearfulness too, because of just not knowing what that bond is going to look like, especially when you haven't experienced it in any other aspect of your life. To see somebody give you an example of that, and you're going to be like that optimal blueprint to like change the game. It's fearful,
Mhm. Yes.
because is it going to be accepted? Is it, am I going to be clown? You
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I've heard that. And I also someone told me that they were kind of afraid that if they let that vulnerability out, it would open up like floodgates.
What kind of floodgates, Doc?
They were talking about floodgates of negative emotions that they had buried. They were afraid that they would all come to the surface,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which in some cases they need to.
Sometimes they do, because you carrying that baggage, which turns into stress, because trying to keep it stuffed down. It's like you going
Yeah.
on a trip and you trying to close that suitcase and the stuff keep popping out. Like you gotta just let it pop out and let it go. Be
Yes.
like, okay,
Yeah.
this over 30 pounds. Let me let it go.
Hmm. I'll leave some of that right there on the counter.
Right, right, right. Or we could just start a bonfire with it. Like let's just start the bonfire outside, in a safe space, so that we could just really let stuff go and
Hmm.
not have any memoir of it whatsoever.
And I do think that that vulnerability, or lack of, or trying to hold it down, can get in the way of apologizing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because now I'm I'm telling you that I feel something.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm
But
telling you.
huh?
It's like, yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm
And
telling you.
I don't want you to throw it back in my face later. Good,
Yeah.
bad, or indifferent. I don't want it thrown back in my face.
Mhm. Exactly. Which is
Which is
when you forgive, you don't do
right,
that.
right.
You don't do that. Which
And
is
you don't
why you don't say you forgave when you haven't really forgiven.
or every time you get mad, you're gonna go right back to that toolkit. Like you ain't forgive me if you're gonna keep going back to that as the go-to example.
Mhm. Remember when you said, did, thought? Like, come on.
Right.
You said you forgave me for that. Why am I still hearing about it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm working with someone now on that.
Mhm. As
and
am I.
and that person, they're having a really difficult time. They're like, I truly believe I've forgiven, but I can't help myself. Whenever I get
Because
mad,
they're
I say
hurt.
it. Yeah.
And they're hurt and they got to process through whatever that hurt is to get through it.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly.
That part.
Yeah. And acknowledging that you really aren't there yet, that you haven't forgiven yet. It's okay.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
okay. You're not there yet.
Mhm.
So why give the other person that false sense of security by telling them you forgave them?
Right. Cuz that's not fair.
No, not at all. You can tell people I need more time.
Can you? Cuz some people be real aggressive on you done had time and you don't come back and talk about stuff. So your time is over.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't tell me how long it's going to take to process what you did to me.
All right. That part that plays out in a lot of different ways though too, but yeah. Because some people will just go into that zone and just never want to talk about it. I'm
Yes.
hoping that the apology that is not necessary because you're allowing me time to like repair whatever it is for myself so that I could be more present for you. And no, because if I'm a talker and a processor, I need you to talk to me in a day or two. Like, come on, let's pop a snap. We need to talk about this. We need to work this out. And you like, yo, hold it, pause. You team too much. Like,
Yes. Chill.
chill. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna just take. Well, no, I can't say that on our show. Around the way they have different remedies for different stuff that they say in telehealth. Like, if I was in an office, would you still say this? They might. They might. they
True.
might. They might. I just don't
Mhm.
remember it, but they might. So I don't know. Is there anything else on the to believe or to not believe related to an apology?
Oh no. Other than the things that I said were evidence or give you a reason to believe, do you have any others?
I don't, because I think it's so arbitrary.
Mm.
Like the source of an apology is so, when I say arbitrary, I mean it's no cookie cutter way. Not that you gave a cookie cutter way, just it's no cookie cutter way for one person, one size fits all. And so you have to kind of go where your what your gut is telling you and listen to what your body is telling you, because to believe it or to not believe it, you have to figure out what the evidence is for you to trust it, to be vulnerable, to understand what your friend, your partner, your parent, whoever is giving the apology, like where, if the source of what their capacity, because that's another part, do they have the capacity to truly give you what you want, or will you accept their level of what they can give, because what you want may not match what they have capacity to give in the
Very
level of
true.
apology.
Yes, and that's back to the my bad versus I'm sorry I hurt you and I will never hurt you again because this is what I'm going to
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
do. That might be what you want, but you might get my bad.
My bad. And that be it.
And that be it.
My bad. You might have some flowers, or my bad. You want some crab legs?
That's funny. That's real specific. Crab
I
legs.
mean, because I've heard it. Be like, I'm gonna just go buy you some crab legs. You be all right. Oh, you want that bag? Let me go get that bag off of layaway. I already had it on layaway, but I had went and got some other stuff.
Hilarious.
Yeah, crazy. That's crazy. All
I
different.
guess one thing to look out for are those apologies that kind of shift the blame onto you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry you made me hurt you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry you made me hurt you. Yes, Ruth the crab legs. Yeah, you made me hurt you. Or I left the room so that I wouldn't hurt you, and then you came after me, so I had to hurt you. Or had to push you out the way.
Or if you hadn't done such and such, I wouldn't have done such and such.
If you had given me my specific bowl of ice cream that I like, then I wouldn't have had to go find my specialty ice cream.
Right.
Lies
Right.
you tell.
Yes. Yes. So though I think that those blame shifting apologies is something to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
if it feels like the person is trying to shift it back onto you, the
Mm-hmm.
apology might not be sincere.
Right, right, right.
Mhm.
I like that. I'm writing that down so I could use that in a session. Blame shifting apology.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Happens all the time.
It does. It does. Especially when I have like a couple who I have an individual, like individual with me, but separate.
Mhm.
Of course it's separate. um, but the one partner is very difficult for them to like really see themselves in the challenges or what they need to apologize for.
Mm,
And I find I always say, okay, I hear what you're saying, but what's your role in that?
right. Yes.
What's your
What
role?
you mean, my role?
They just need to get over their daddy issues or they this issues. No, you need to get over some issues too. What issues do you need to get over?
Mhm. Mhm. I ain't come here for that.
Right,
I
right.
came here to get you to help her
Yeah.
or
No.
him
Mm-mm,
behave better.
mm. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, no, no. We have to have this as a collaborative approach. Collaborative, collaborative.
Now that you brought up the blame shifting, it just makes me think about how a lot of times you become comfortable with that because of childhood.
Hmm.
Because parents say that often. See what you made? I had to spank you cause you
Right.
or you made me late for work and I had to do such and such.
The child made the adult late for work. No, adult, you hit the snooze button a couple times. You didn't plan your morning out the right way. The child don't is learning from you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. So we learn to accept those kinds of apologies sometimes in childhood based
Mm-hmm.
on, being blamed for things by our parents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That that
Mhm.
right there. That right there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Which goes into what we talk about in a variety of different ways in our conversations here, is that the patterns that people live by and demonstrate usually are set between 6 and 12, like the ages of 6 and 12, whatever they have experienced, both positive, not positive, whatever. whatever they're doing is as a pattern that they need to interrupt or grow through to do some maturing in, usually has been seasoned and
Yes.
developed between the ages of 6 and 12.
Yes. Seasoned, developed, stored.
Traumatized, all
Yes, yes. And become, this is how I operate.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
Yes.
for sure. And it's like it can still, even when you master the healing part, so you think, because every new beginning, it shows up in different ways.
Hmm.
You have to begin to recognize it and shut it down like as quick as possible.
Yes. Yes.
As
And
quick as possible.
yes. Yes. And it takes a lot to get there,
It does.
because you do have to get, depending on, what your relationship was with your parents or your caregivers. You might have the idea that it was same thing our parents say, it was good enough for me,
That's not for me.
but it should be good enough for
I
you.
gave you more. You should be better.
Uh-huh. So
Hmm.
when you catch yourself saying those kinds of things, like it was good enough for my parents, doesn't mean that you're disrespecting your parents or, not honoring them. It just means that times are different and sometimes you need a different approach.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I've been seeing a lot, not a lot, but I've been seeing families having that difficulty with child rearing.
Hmm.
When when one parent was raised a certain way and they want to do the same things their parents did, and the other person is more, I don't know what you call it, modern or something now, and they're like, no, the new stuff says that this is better for the kid, or and they're like, no, that's not how my parents did it.
Hmm.
That can cause a lot of conflict.
It can. It can. Or if one partner in the relationship believes that their parents' ways was a better ways than the other partner's parents, then that also creates the conflict too, because you never sat down again in the beginning to discuss what parenting was going to look like. I actually have a couple who one partner doesn't believe in all of, not necessarily this new conversation about vaccines, but just vaccines for children in general when they're going into school. um, and the other partner is in the medical profession, so they kind of
Wow.
subscribe to certain things, and know that the schools are asking for this in order to get enrolled.
Hmm.
And so it's just really tricky because they're not on the same page.
Yeah.
And the one parent's like, well, I could write a letter to justify why the vaccines are not necessary.
Oh
And it's just
wow.
like, wow.
And
And
that's,
like I'm
oh
saying, it's
man.
not the newer conversations of vaccines. It's some of those older ones that we've always done,
Yeah.
but they have a different mindset about them
We're off on a tangent, but yeah, that discussion has a whole, I don't know, a whole lot of ripples,
now. It
a
does.
whole lot of ripples.
It does.
Yeah,
It
because
does.
I've heard other parents say that they don't want their kids in school with unvaccinated children, and I mean, you have a right to not vaccinate your kid, but they have a right to want their kids to be safe. Yeah, I
And
know. I know.
okay, my bad.
I'm trying to stay on both sides.
I know, I know, I know. I mean, but it is that third side because we have evidence that it don't matter, Baxter or not.
I
That's all.
know.
That's all I wanted to say. You know. But then we're always. I mean, that's definitely another conversation. But we're
Yeah,
always in a situation in life with various values that people are very strong hearted on,
yeah,
where there's going to be an opportunity for something or someone to be othered.
yes. Very true.
Always. And
Always.
then like the isolation of being other just mask into so many other things.
Hmm.
You know what?
Yes.
Listen, people would say, does headlights still even exist? But I know it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know it
Yes,
does.
it does. I've seen people, be referred to services because
Absolutely.
because of continued infections with head lice,
Right,
and it looks like the parent isn't doing enough or doing anything.
right. Or responding at all.
Right.
Right. Man, she had to take it there. Yeah, like, yeah,
Yeah,
we digress. So what's the
even if
apology for that if they don't do it? Like, what's the apology for that? You don't believe them because they ain't activating that plan of action that you talked about.
yeah. Don't tell me you sorry, but then send your kid to school again with head with
Right.
lice.
Oh, she's still traumatized from a couple of years ago. Listen, listen. What apology did you get? Mm-mm-mm. Mm. Yeah, I mean it's just a lot of different things. Like, and sometimes just people aren't sensitive to look at the full picture. Like what their actions, what their choices and decisions, like how does that impact people just all around you? Or do you even care?
That's the question. That's
Hmm.
the question. Do
Hmm.
you care enough about your impact on other people?
Hmm.
That's the question.
That's the question.
hmm And if the answer is yes, then I think that that's enough to lead you on the road of apology.
Right.
It should be enough if you care about your impact on other people.
Hmm. Very true. Oh shoot. She said that's lots of entitled parents.
uh-huh.
You know, it, I got a whole lot of different views and perspective these days on entitled behaviors. But when you compare some of the entitled behaviors to lifestyle differences from city to suburban, it's just some things that just don't exist, but they don't get it's like there's no rule book or nothing to explain to certain cultures that live outside of the city limits that they're entitled to in one place that just don't exist in the urban community. Like, I don't know. That'll take us down a whole rabbit hole of a whole nother conversation. I'll give one. I'll give one. So in the suburbs, you can cross in a crosswalk and all cars are going to yield to you. It's just kind of like a spoken, unspoken expectation. You can have that same crosswalk in the city, and that yielding is not necessarily the same, but you may walk in the middle of the street believing to be such and then get mad when the car is about to take your
When
body
you get
parts off.
ran over.
Right, right. But you just gotta know the code of the streets. Like you just
Yes.
entitled. Like, yeah. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, well, we know that entitled behavior or thought process leads to less apologies because
Absolutely.
you don't feel like you've done anything wrong.
Anything.
hmm
Right.
Yes, you believe that this is how it should be.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
He said, "Mm-mm-mm."
No, no, no.
It really does. And it's not even just apologies. Now that I'm thinking about this, it really makes you not use manners. Period.
Correct. Or do you have them to begin with?
Yeah,
Because
that's
when
the
you're in the
question.
grocery store, do you recognize that you're walking across somebody, or do you just walk across them because you need to go to where you gotta go to, and that
hmm
person just becomes invisible?
hmm hmm Yeah.
Definitely don't believe in apologies.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, the right.
And don't, please and thank you. All those things kind of go out of the window.
Right. Or pardon me.
hmm
Because like we can't share the same space. Like, If I'm blocking what you're trying to get, and it's okay for you to stand there and see my body language that I'm waiting to get in that space, but you're just going to consume it and ignore it as if I'm invisible. You're right.
Yeah.
Depending on
Or
how.
if my manners tell me to hold the door for you and you just walk through like,
Right. 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 No, no, thank you. No,
no
nothing. No
acknowledgement that
acknowledgement
someone
whatsoever.
just held the door for you. Like, what?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that part.
Yeah. Not just apologies. It's like all manners. Like you
All
don't even know what manners are.
they went on vacation. They went on total vacation.
Hmm. Yes. It's like you were taught that you don't have to be a pleasant person.
Mm. And who would do such a thing?
Other entitled people.
You said that with such a straight face.
Yes. Entitled people raise entitled children oftentimes.
Absolutely. That's what she's saying. Unfortunately, their children are not taught to have manners either.
Yes. From the cradle.
From
Yes.
the cradle. Because we
Exactly.
learn from what happens in our house. So if apologies and acknowledgement, or any of that stuff is not done, then of course, when you get into a conflict resolution, say at work or in school, where you have to kind of like, resolve these different things, that person is going to be very lost and probably tend to work in a silo at work because they don't want to confront or deal with those type of things, or get unraveled when they have to be in a situation and be like, I don't know why they're coming at me. They're
Yes.
attacking me. I feel attacked. Really,
Yes.
you really feel attacked. No, just apologize for your inappropriate behaviors, and we'll be fine.
Right. Right.
We'll be fine.
Yes.
Productivity will continue.
Mhm.
That's it. Just a little something. Just a little something. Just a
But
little
if
something.
you don't know how to do that.
They don't know how to do that.
Mhm. Nice.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. Not on your classroom watch. Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to do that too with me and my love for working with teens. They would walk past me. I didn't wake up with you this morning. I'm sorry. We got come back, walk back, walk, start this over, start this over. And they'd be like, "Oh, Miss May, we gotta start this over."
Mhm.
So, and I mean, I've done it with adults too. Like, wait, you jumped into the content of the conversation, but you didn't greet me.
Mhm.
Where we do that? You want me to do something for you? No, we need to start with a greeting. We need to reset the tone.
Mhm.
Now, how can I help you with your concern?
Mhm.
Yes.
And sometimes that has to be taught within relationships.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Apologies
People
maybe.
don't understand that please, thank you,
Mhm,
you know, along with apologies are important.
mhm,
Even with your partner, yes, you should say please and thank you.
mhm, mhm. And not taking anybody for granted, because then that's when the regretfulness comes from and the resentment comes from. You like, well, why do they resent me? Or why are they always so angry? Why are they always so frustrated? Because they don't know how to like reset the conversation or reset the intentions of the space. They're coming like right at your neck, like, ugh.
And they don't feel like you eh, really respect them.
Correct. Correct. My girlfriend, my goddaughter, is going to a HBCU, and we went there on Tuesday, and she was like, okay, I need you to help me center and this, that, and the whatever. HBCUs are a little special. I mean, probably all schools are special, but HBCUs are a little special when it comes to just communicating. I'm just going to leave it
Yes.
with communicating.
Yes, we've had that experience. So yeah, I know.
And so she said all of the stuff that she needed to, and she's an educator. All of the stuff that she needed to like address, but I didn't think that I needed to go through a role play on how to present it. And when we finally got into the room with the person that we needed to speak with, I had to catch myself because she just came right at the lady's neck. Like,
Mm.
you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I was like, whoa. I said, wait, okay, wait. We should have did this before we came in the room. I didn't know. Meanwhile, my godchild was texting me like, yo, they really going at each other. I said, yes. Like, we texting across the room. But it's like when people get filled in their emotions, they don't realize how the gun is loaded up, like how the clip is like really, really loaded up, versus you could get a better response. I mean, that worked out for us on Tuesday. It did, but it's like still, you have to realize what you're bringing into the conversation in order to get the resolution that you want. And still,
Right.
like, coming in with angst, then you're going to get angst back.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
And you just got to know that that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But people also have to learn how to communicate more effectively, too.
Yes.
Much
Yes.
more effectively. And it ain't HBCUs. It could be in some of our politics, because I had an experience today with the politics of this city. We canceled that a week ago. Okay. Why were y'all outside then? We didn't know that you canceled it. Yeah, yeah, the city. I'm not gonna just say it's the city that we currently reside in, because it could be in any city, but the city. So apologies are always in place and impactful in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And if you think of it as the way to show your partner or your family member that you understand what you did and that you're telling them that you're not going to do it again,
Mm,
then it can be very impactful to the relationship.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's important to just recognize that apologies, being vulnerable, um, having regret and resentment only like shows that more vulnerability is necessary for you to grow in. If you identify however that plan of action looks for you, I know I was like, okay, doc, ain't nobody doing all of that. But however that plan of action looks for you, like, I think that that's the better way to kind of reset when entitlement comes into play, or not being acknowledged comes into play, or just recognizing that every voice has to like take a look at what they're saying, what they're doing, and what they're not doing. But then you also have to read what your body is telling you to. So to say to believe it or to not believe it, becomes an open book that's very different for everybody. But people like Doc and I are available, to help you work through the different processes. Um, or you could just find other ways that work for you, long as you have a plan of action and that you can see the change behavior and you feel validated by the choices that you begin to make. Because you don't want to be taken for granted.
Right. And you don't want to take anyone for granted.
You don't.
Yes.
You don't. Even if when we talk about the childhood situations, even if you feel as though you've been taken for granted in a variety of situations, work, relationships, whatever, you can stop that pattern and interrupt it, as we talked about pattern interruptions, and begin to learn how to do something different moving forward.
Yes. It's never too late.
And it's always work. Never too late. So I believe what I heard Doc say a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to co sign, is that we are going to take the rest of August off. Our goal is to come back. We will be still in the group engaging. At least I know I will. I'm not going
Yeah.
on vacation. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
We are trying to plan something very, very nice. Very, very nice to celebrate and acknowledge 100 episodes that you all have been here with us. In different capacities. Yes, 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 yes. So You guys can stay tuned in the group or however it is that you connect with us, and you'll find out like different updates about that. But we are now deeming that August and December are going to be our months off for celebration. So, in the meanwhile, we hope you stay safe. We'll still be engaging in the group, giving you some memes and some content and some articles and stuff like that, like we do. And we are, yeah, looking forward to a great celebration for our 100th episode. Doc, you got anything to wrap us up with?
No, I think you said it all.
Yes,
I'll
continue.
be I'll be participating from various parts of the world.
Yes, that part. Different time zones. No problem. No problem. All right. Y'all take care and we'll see you soon. If you catch us on the
Good night.
replay, good night.
Good night.